just thought it would be great for the rest of the congregation. You know, we each have our own story. And Jason, tell us, you were really touched by that story a couple weeks ago that Glenn shared about the Korean boy, that process of being taken into an orphanage and then seeking. Tell us your...
Yeah, thanks, Kurt. The story about the Korean boy and his mother who was gave birth to him under the bridge really struck a chord to me, because my life is much like that, in that, you know, I started out in my early years with three very distinct miracles that God had given me. And that the first one is I am orphaned, and in Vietnam I was born some 170 miles south of Saigon. So from how I got from there, that small city, to Saigon, to the orphanage, was a very specific miracle that someday I'll find out how God did, but it will be very interesting. The second miracle that God performed in my early life was at the end of the war there, they were getting all the orphans out of the country in the baby lifts. And in this particular case, they were loading children up in C-5A Galaxy airplanes, and about 300 or so were loaded up in this particular plane. And it took off outside of Saigon, and it actually had to come back and make an emergency crash landing in a rice paddy because of some mechanical issues. And I would later find out that I wasn't one of the 170 children that were killed in that plane, because God had taken me off before the plane took off because I had dysentery. So I always say that diarrhea can save your life. And then the third very key miracle that God put in my life was that He actually allowed me to come over to America and be adopted into an American family, and a Christian American family, and be raised and nurtured in a Christian home. So I came to Christ at a very young age, and they taught me that God, like He says in Psalm 139, knew me in my mother's womb before I was ever, before any of the history of the world had ever begun. So I was always raised that God had a very special plan for me.
Amen. Now as an adult and having a family of your own, very active family, you're beginning to see some of that sense of what God's calling on your life as an adult. Why don't you share a little of that?
Yeah, there's three areas that are really what I see as my mission field. And the first one's at work. I work at Cisco. And a real quick story, one of my colleagues had just passed away, and in getting to know her in her last days, she was born in Iran, and she was a very strong Christian. And so it was a very special time to me to see at her funeral. They had it in Farsi, the language there, but it was being translated to all my colleagues in English, and they were proclaiming God's name. And so here I am sitting in Los Gatos, California, listening to Farsi and having God's name proclaimed. So it was a very special time to see that my mission field is my work. The second one is my friends and family, and specifically around our neighborhood, we make sure that we have margins in our lives so that we can go out and play with different neighborhood friends. My sons love to go out, play with them, and it's a good time to have them be able to show what God's done in our life. And then finally, of course, is my family. And it's really important that God has given me these three children and my wife for 15 years, not so that I can just enjoy them and that's it, but really the legacy that I will hand on to them is that my sons and my daughters will love and serve Him in the future.
Amen. Hey, Jason, thanks so much. I appreciate that.